Djokovic's decision to withdraw from both major tune-up tournaments is especially surprising given how much it goes against the traditional way of doing things in tennis. While skipping one of the big Masters 1,000 events before a Grand Slam has become more and more common in recent years, a necessary choice to deal with the immense physical and mental strain of the modern tour, bypassing both the Canadian Open and the Cincinnati Masters is something that is exceptionally rare, almost unheard of for a healthy top player. These tournaments are not just simple exhibition matches where players can casually hit the ball around. They are crucial and highly competitive proving grounds. The difficult transition from the soft, fast grass courts of Wimbledon to the hard, unforgiving courts of North America absolutely demands match play. Players need these matches to recalibrate their timing, to test how their bodies hold up on the new surface, and to practice their strategies and make adjustments against other top-level opponents. For a player like Djokovic, whose entire game is built on razor-sharp precision, rhythm, and an unmatched competitive intensity, this long absence feels incredibly risky. And this is a player who famously never takes unnecessary risks, especially when it comes to his readiness and his sharpness for the biggest moments in the sport. The fact that his last professional match that wasn't at a Grand Slam happened all the way back in May at the Geneva Open only makes the sense of him accumulating competitive rust even stronger. The lingering mystery that surrounds Djokovic's decision is perhaps the most interesting part of this whole situation. He hasn't offered a detailed explanation, and the official reason given for his Cincinnati withdrawal was a non-medical issue, a phrase so vague it only invites more questions. This lack of a clear reason has fueled a storm of speculation among fans, journalists, and even other players. Is this simply a case of fatigue management after a long and draining run at Wimbledon at the age of 38? Is it a strategic move to preserve his body, focusing all of his energy and attention on winning a historic 25th Grand Slam title? Could it be related to the lingering effects of the injury that saw him practically give up in his match against Sinner at Wimbledon? Or is it something less predictable? Something more personal? Perhaps he has family commitments, or maybe he's unhappy with the conditions of the tournaments, or it could even be a calculated psychological game, a way for him to enter the US Open in New York as the ultimate wildcard, a complete unknown. Unlike Sinner and Alcaraz, whose withdrawals from the Canadian Open were explained by specific, even if minor, physical problems, a sore hip and elbow for Sinner, and reported muscle tiredness for Alcaraz, and who are both expected to play in Cincinnati, Djokovic's total absence from both tournaments remains a complete puzzle. It leaves his fans and the sports analysts to carefully pick apart his comments from after Wimbledon, where he shot down any rumors of retirement saying, "I'm planning to come back, definitely, at least one more time," yet at the same time admitted how hard it was to see the bigger picture right after a tough loss. "It's hard to put things in a larger perspective when you're fresh off the court," he had said. This gap between his stated desire to play and his actual absence from competition only makes the whole situation more intriguing. This trend of top players skipping big events doesn't just exist on its own. The Canadian Open just witnessed the extraordinary and almost unbelievable sight of the ATP's new Big Three: Djokovic, the established legend; Sinner, the world #1; and Alcaraz, the reigning Wimbledon champion, all being absent from the tournament at the same time. The tournament director, Carl Hale, publicly expressed his disappointment, and his words highlighted the real and tangible impact of these decisions. A weaker field of players, less star power to attract fans and TV viewers, and a huge hole in the story of the tennis season at a critical time right before the US Open. While Sinner and Alcaraz are expected to compete in Cincinnati, as long as they don't have any late setbacks, their initial withdrawal from the Canadian Open signals a much broader pattern in the sport. Even these young titans of the game, at just 22 and 23 years old, are choosing to be highly selective with their schedules. This represents a huge change from the Iron Man mentality that was so perfectly embodied by the original Big Three of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Djokovic himself in their prime. Those three players built their incredible legacies and their historic rivalries by being present at nearly every big tournament all season long. They competed across the Grand Slams, the Masters thousands, and often even the 500-level events. Their constant participation created a continuous and exciting story, a thread that ran through the entire season and turned it into a cohesive and compelling drama that always reached its peak at the major tournaments. Today's young stars seem to view the tour in a very different way. the Masters. 1,000 events are no longer seen as mandatory stops on the tour, but as optional tune-ups, secondary to the ultimate goal of being at their absolute best for the slams. For Djokovic specifically, the stakes at the upcoming US Open are immense. He is the defending champion from 2023, which means he has a significant number of ranking points to protect. Yet, his shocking third-round exit to Alexei Popyrin at last year's tournament was his earliest departure from Flushing Meadows, since all the way back in 2006. Entering this year's tournament completely cold, without the rhythm from match play, without the confidence boost that comes from winning, and without the specific adjustments to his game that playing in Cincinnati provides, is a monumental and risky gamble. The official reasoning for his absence from Cincinnati has actually raised more questions than it has answered. Tournament officials confirmed that his withdrawal was due to a non-medical issue. This is a phrase that just hangs in the air, tantalizingly vague and open to endless interpretation. It deliberately rules out a new injury, yet it offers no solid alternative explanation. Of course, Djokovic is not required to tell the public the specific reason why he withdrew, and most fans are guessing that he is simply taking a long break to prepare his body for one final major push at a big tournament. Other fans, however, think that his recent issues with injuries are having a real and serious impact on his readiness to play matches. So the big question is, can his unmatched experience and his incredible ability to raise his game to another level for the Grand Slams be enough to overcome his lack of match sharpness? History offers us a mixed bag of messages. He has won major tournaments after having limited preparation in the past, but it has been rare for him to do so before a major that demands the kind of intense physicality that the hard courts of the US Open require. Furthermore, his recent results have shown that he is vulnerable against the very top players. He has had losses to Sinner at both Roland Garros and Wimbledon, and to Alcaraz in the 2023 Wimbledon final and the 2024 final. The withdrawal for a non-medical issue only increases the pressure on him. It transforms his US Open campaign into a thrilling high-wire act with absolutely no safety net. Meanwhile, the tournament in Cincinnati now becomes a critical proving ground for both Alcaraz and Sinner. Their participation is vital, not just for their own preparation for the US Open, but for the overall health of the entire tennis tour. Sinner is currently navigating his recent high-profile coaching reunion with Riccardo Piatti, and there are still some lingering questions about his durability and his ability to stay healthy through long tournaments. He needs to play matches to silence his doubters and to build his confidence as the new world number one. Alcaraz, who is known for his explosive and physically demanding style of play, needs the competitive matches to avoid the slow starts that have sometimes been a problem for him in the past. Their presence in Cincinnati offers a direct contrast to Djokovic's absence, showcasing the very different paths that the top players in the world are now choosing to take. The underlying question here goes far beyond just Djokovic's specific non-medical issue. It challenges the very idea of whether the traditional tennis calendar model can be sustained in the modern era. The physical demands of the sport have gotten much higher in recent years. The rallies from the baseline are longer and more punishing than ever before. The movement on the court requires more explosive power, and the long season offers very little time for players to rest and recover. Advanced sports science now teaches us that data-driven rest is an essential part of reaching peak performance. It's not just a luxury anymore. As a result, it seems very unlikely that the next generation of tennis stars will be able to replicate the model of the Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic era, a model of being present at almost every single tournament. The cost of this new approach, however, is significant. When the biggest stars in the sport suddenly vanish from prestigious Masters events, the ATP Tour loses its narrative cohesion. The momentum of the season becomes fragmented. The week-to-week storylines that are so important for building anticipation and emotional investment for the Grand Slams become weaker. And events like Cincinnati, which are steeped in history and prestige, risk being seen as just simple stepping stones, rather than as important destinations in their own right. Djokovic's mysterious withdrawal from Cincinnati, a decision that leaves him completely untested and shrouded in mystery before his quest for a historic 25th major title, isn't just about one champion's unique preparation strategy. It is a powerful symbol of a sport that is grappling with a new and evolving reality. A reality where the relentless and all-consuming pursuit of Grand Slam glory may increasingly come at the expense of the consistent, season-long spectacle that once defined the sport of tennis. The upcoming US Open will be the ultimate test. It will reveal whether Djokovic's risky gamble was a stroke of genius or a foolish mistake. And it will show us whether this new, fragmented approach to the season is the new championship blueprint or just a cautionary tale for future generations. But if we step back from all of the specific details, we can say with certainty that Djokovic's decision to skip both the Canadian Open and the Cincinnati Masters, and to arrive at the US Open without having played a single competitive hardcourt match since May, highlights a major shift in the sport. A shift that goes far beyond just physical recovery or a simple scheduling preference. It suggests a complete recalibration of his priorities, a world where the milestones of the Grand Slams now far outweigh the rhythm and the prestige of the regular ATP calendar. For a player who has built his entire legacy on meticulous and detailed preparation and on a relentless and burning hunger to compete, this departure from his normal routine feels deeply symbolic and significant. The mystery surrounding Djokovic's non-medical withdrawal only adds to the intrigue of the situation. It offers no clear and simple explanation, only a wide-open space for speculation and debate. Is this just a period of rest that is being disguised as a strategic move? Is it a desperate attempt to preserve his aging body for one last historic push for glory? Or is it a sign that the constant grind of the tour, even for the most durable and resilient champion in the history of the sport, is finally beginning to take its toll? What we know for certain is that this long break from convention greatly increases the stakes for him in New York. Djokovic is not just chasing his 25th Grand Slam title, he is doing so without his usual lead-up, without the reassurance of having tested his form under the pressure of real matches on hard courts. Historically, he has shown an almost supernatural and uncanny ability to raise his level of play at the Grand Slams, but he has never done so under quite these kinds of conditions before. The gamble he is taking is very real, and the margin for error at a place like Flushing Meadows is razor-thin. With his biggest rivals, like Sinner and Alcaraz, who are at a level far above almost everyone else, getting tuned up and match-ready in Cincinnati, Djokovic will be entering the US Open not as the clear and undisputed favorite, but as a looming and fascinating question mark. So, what does all of this mean in the end? Djokovic's path to his 25th Grand Slam title is now laced with a great deal of uncertainty, but perhaps it is also filled with a new and powerful clarity of purpose. He is betting everything he has on his performance in New York. If he manages to win the tournament, his move will be hailed as a brilliant and masterful stroke of genius, a masterclass in how to manage a long and successful career. If he falters and loses early, it may spark a new round of questions about the risks of abandoning the old and trusted playbook. Either way, his absence from Cincinnati is not just a simple scheduling footnote in the story of the 2025 season. It is a clear marker of a sport that is in a state of transition. It is a powerful reminder that even the most proven and successful formulas are now being rewritten by the forces of time, by changing circumstances, and by the ever-increasing demands of true and lasting greatness.